I am Dracula. I bid you welcome.
Oh, it's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Thou shalt rise again.
Power to make multitudes run squealing in terror at the touch of my little invisible finger.
Do you believe in werewolves? To a new world of gods and monsters.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Ken and I's Retrospective on the Universal Horror Movies. Ken, how you doing?
I'm doing great, and I'm doing especially well since we're talking about this movie.
This movie is one of my absolute favorites. I have loved it since the first time I watched it, and of course, where did we hear about it before we saw it?
It's who else? James Rolfe of Cinemassacre.
And I remember watching his review of it, and I was like, I am pumped to watch this movie. And then when I watched it, I was like, this is as good as he talked it up being. It does. It has all the monsters in it you could possibly think of aside from the Mummy.
Exactly. The Mummy and the Invisible Man at this point, and the creature hadn't made his appearance yet.
Right.
But, I mean, this one is just a ton of fun. And for, what is it, an hour and 14 minutes or something?
Hour 10, 70 minutes.
An hour and 10 minutes. Everything they fit into this one. And of course, it's a different era. Like, they could not make a movie like this today in an hour and 10 minutes. But just for knowing what time period it is, it's so much fun. And you get started. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with something you and I were talking about off air about a character that honestly could have just been omitted from this whole film.
Okay, yeah. But I'm glad he wasn't. They start off, so Dr. Neiman and his, who is played by Boris Karloff, we should point out, in the Mad Scientist role.
Amazing job, by the way.
Fantastic. Another character you love to hate, who just loves screwing people over. But him and his assistant Daniel escape from prison, and they want to find the Frankenstein monster, but along the way they run into Count Dracula. Just
the bones of Dracula owned by some random asshole who owns a circus.
Yeah, exactly. Professor Lampini, is it? Yeah. So played by George Zucco, you said?
Yeah, we've seen him quite a few times, haven't we?
We have, yeah. He's appeared in the Karras Mummy movies as sort of the elder priest.
Yep, that's right. I knew that name was familiar.
Yep. He's another one that they recycle.
Yeah. Kidding. Yep, Mummy's Tomb. Mummy's Ghost.
Briefly in the Mummy's Ghost, I believe.
Yep, he was at the very beginning. We didn't mention that, by the way. Do you think his shaking in that was intentional, or do you think he was just actually... No.
I think it was intentional, and they made him up to be old.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was staring at him. I'm like, is that the camera, or is he actually, got the shakes?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. But, so Professor Lampini has the skeleton of Count Dracula, which apparently just is the skeleton... Sorry?
Just because.
Right. And he's got the skeleton, and apparently if you pull the stake from the skeleton's chest, I guess Dracula will just regenerate. Doesn't make sense, but why not? It's like if it gets Dracula in the movie, I'm down for it.
Yeah, it's like, hey, if that's Dracula's foolproof plan that he somehow was able to put in, but if you take the stake out, I come right back. It's like, hey, genius, you never really die, but
yeah, truly immortal.
Once again, the stakes are kind of gone, but okay. How did he die in Son of Dracula, by the way? I forget.
In Son of Dracula, I know they burned down his burial ground, I believe. And
so where did they get these bones from? Oh wait, I forgot. We're not supposed to ask the continuity questions because
I don't think so. Well, at least not for Dracula, but
for Wolfman, yes, he's like the
Wolfman and Frankenstein.
He's literally the only one they care about continuity with at this point. It feels like.
Yeah, well, him and the monster in this movie.
That's true.
But anyways, interesting thing, you were saying that he could have been omitted from this movie. Dracula has like his own mini story before they reach the monster and the Wolfman.
A little mini movie with some, like you said, some random characters that
who decide to go to the circus, and he's like trying to seduce this woman, and then pretty much Dr. Neiman and Daniel ride off, and the sun is rising, and Dracula's trying to catch up. Dracula dies in the sunlight, and then his story is over. We don't see those side characters again.
That's it. That was their story. That was Dracula's little mini movie. That was Dracula. That was John Carradine's debut as Dracula.
Yeah, exactly.
Long, and then he died by sunlight.
And let me ask you, before we jump off of Dracula, what did you think of John Carradine as Dracula?
No.
I don't dislike him, and I'll tell you why. He has a certain class to him, and yes, he's an American actor like Lon Chaney Jr., but I feel like he does it so much better than Lon Chaney Jr. did. And I feel like he knew these are just fun, campy movies, and he played into that.
Yeah, I can see that, because when Lon Chaney did it, he seemed like he was like trying to be the next Bela Lugosi.
Right, exactly. And John Carradine, I feel like he just had some sort of class to him that he's like, I know this is a fun, campy movie, but I'm going to provide some elegance to this role.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he was fine. He just didn't last long enough to really do anything.
Mm-hmm. It's just so odd to me that a movie would have like the first 20 minutes be like this just little mini story of these characters who are being threatened by Neiman and Dracula, and then once Dracula's defeated, they're fine, they're done. Now Neiman and Daniel are going off to the next story.
I think it's funny because it's almost like Neiman is just like, that didn't work. Screw it, let's leave. Leave him behind. I got bigger fish to fry elsewhere.
Which is in line with his character, because he just sort of uses people for his needs.
Neiman is the ultimate asshole, and I love about him. He's
a great evil mad scientist. However, but also we're trying to get away from Dracula. But another thing I want to mention about him that neither of us liked was Neiman. And they try to play it off like it's an even trade, where Neiman will like protect Dracula's coffin and where he sleeps if Dracula will do his orders and do his bidding. And Dracula says to a mortal man, "I will do whatever you wish." I'm sorry, but no, that is not the Bela Lugosi Dracula.
No, way to take like Dracula and just like completely default.
Yeah, make him someone's pawn.
But what else were you gonna do at this point?
Exactly. If it got him in the movie and we were able to have his little story, I just wish that Dracula could have stuck around and interacted with the other monsters too.
That would have been so much more fun.
But it's not what they did, and where do you want to go from here?
So from here, I want to talk about so obviously next they like get to their second destination where I forget what's her face, Ilanka. Boss, boyfriend, dad was beating the fuck out of her until Daniel killed him.
Yeah, exactly. And man, should we pull back the curtain and mention the thing I mentioned to you before?
What one?
This blew both of our minds. Me when I looked into it, and Chad when I told him.
Yeah, this is weird.
The actress who plays Ilanka, I was watching this movie, and I'm just like, wow, she's really pretty. And I just looked up the actress. I saw she was born in 1925. This movie came out in 1944. I'm like, she's only 19 years old. She looks like she's in minimum her mid-20s, and it goes back to what I told Chad. They aged so much harder back then. I swear they did.
Because that blew my mind when you told me that. I'm like, what? How?
Oh, it's also kind of like when more recently my buddy Matt and we were watching Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, and I looked it up. Rod Taylor was 32 when they made that movie. I sent Chad a picture of him from that movie. He's like, he looks like a healthy 50-year-old.
He does. He looks like a man in his 50s. And when you told me he was 32, I was like, what?
These people lived on a diet of bologna and cigars, I swear. And they aged so hard.
Because how does that happen? I mean, I don't know. It was just weird. I looked at that. I was like, jeez. But yeah, with her, it's just even more. It's like, geez, because like I think you're being generous with the 20s. I thought she was in her 30s.
I don't know, but it's just it's insane. But yeah, so they come across this gypsy woman, and Daniel the Hunchback takes a liking to her, and so they take her on the journey. Also, when she wakes up in the in their carriage, he's just like, "You'll travel with us now." She's very okay with this kidnapping, I guess. Granted, she got away from this abusive manager, I guess.
Right.
But she's totally fine with being kidnapped by strangers.
And then she just completely ruins it though, with like Daniel's like hiding from her. She's, oh, come down. And he's like, all right, I get that she has no attraction to him. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with her reactions to it. Like when she's like, oh, come down so I can like fully see you. He like comes out so she can like fully see me. And he's even like looking down, like he knows he's ashamed that he's a hunchback. And she still has the balls to like look shocked and like look away in disgust. I'm like, this bitch. Look at his face. He doesn't look, he's not coming at you like, love me, lady. He's like already like feeling sick about himself and how he looks. Like, and you had to react like that. You could have had a little more compassion for the man who just saved your life.
And to be fair, until later, and we'll get to that, she's still nice with him and she's still friendly to him.
Yeah. But it was just
for now.
Initial reaction was just like actions speak louder than words in that scene.
Yeah.
Like you didn't have to do that. Wow, that was like low.
Yeah. But yeah, after they get her, let's go ahead and say this movie has like the best continuity following of like any of the Universal Monster movies so far, I'd say, because it as far as them finding the Wolfman and Frankenstein's monster, they follow the ending to Frankenstein meets the Wolfman pretty damn well.
I still don't know how they got frozen, but
they got drowned out in the dam, and maybe wintertime came.
Right.
Oh, but that underground like ice cave looked terrible. I'm sorry, but it did.
It was like seeing that set brought me back to when I like watched all of the original Star Trek last year.
Right.
I was like, oh, look at those cheesy ass sets.
Yeah. But yeah, so
I still feel so bad for Larry Talbot at this point. This guy just wants to die, and he's like, I'm so sick of this. Quit bringing me back to life.
I know, but
he's like the most reluctant character that keeps like getting a second chance to live, and he's also, like, just stop, kill me, leave me be.
I do also like how he wakes up from the ice and his clothes just look immaculate on him. Like there's nothing wrong with his clothes. They're not torn up from being in a scuffle with the monster. It's not sopping wet from being frozen in ice. He looks great. He looks like he just got out of the makeup chair.
Say completely clean shaven.
Yeah, exactly.
His hair's perfect.
So yeah,
just unthawed. Even though I think we did say it though at the end of Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, we were like, this wouldn't kill them.
Right, exactly. Which, good on them for maintaining that continuity and like recognizing that it wouldn't kill them. But okay, to me, this is kind of bananas. Once he's got Frankenstein's monster and the Wolfman, you want to talk about, would you like to say what Dr. Neiman's big plan is?
Can you explain
his big revenge plan?
Can you explain it? Because I'm still confused.
Okay. So he's got some old associates who, I guess, I can't remember if they framed him or they like threw him under the bus, whatever. They were some old lab assistants of his.
Yeah.
And his plan is he's going to torture them by putting the Frankenstein monster's brain in one of them. Like he says, I'm going to give your brain to the Frankenstein monster and I'm going to give you the brain of the Wolfman. So you will turn into a werewolf. It's like, well, won't that just put Larry's consciousness into him? It's still going to be Larry.
Right.
I don't get. Also, I guess the werewolf curse is attached to the brain, not the body that has the bite mark on it.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense. And you feel bad for Larry because it's like, no offense, he's kind of dumb to just believe Neiman's gonna heal him.
Right. Well, I mean, I'll grant, he's desperate, maybe. But
I would honestly just go the route that they did. I'd just be like, can someone just get a silver bullet and shoot me in the brain, please?
Yes, exactly. Chop off my head, chop off my limbs.
Myself.
Exactly. It's just, and okay, and we're making fun of those little things, but again, this is a movie we love.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it is a little convoluted, but it's almost one of those, like, kind of the same as they did in the Ghost of Frankenstein stuff. It's like, it's whatever. I don't care about the nitpicky in those because the rest of the story is fun and exciting and well written enough to keep me going. Because, like, we've said that before with other stuff. If there's a bad story, you're going to nitpick it to death. If it's a good story, you're going to let some stuff go.
Exactly. Now I want to say, I gave Ilonka some slack before when she was at first scared of Daniel, but she was still nice with him. Once Larry shows up, and I don't know how many pretzels this young lady ate to be this thirsty, but she was pining for Larry.
She wanted him bad. And Daniel literally just nicely tries to let her know he's a werewolf. You're going to get killed.
I'll say maybe he was doing that for some selfish reasons too, but he's still giving her a warning like, hey, this dude will kill you. Also, another thing I have to say, well, we'll get to that later, but remind me to talk about her having to kill Larry, right? Remind me to talk about that, but...
Well, go ahead, say it.
Well, first I want to talk about how she, like, berates Daniel when he warns her, and she's like, you're just jealous, you're mean, and you're ugly, and I hate you. It's just like, fuck!
She was so over the top and unnecessary with it.
And even though
you're ugly and I hate you. I mean, those are the types of things that people, like, kill themselves over being told in today's day and age.
Yeah, exactly. And she berates him, but then when she approaches Larry, she believes it. They quote the old poem, even a man who is pure in heart and says his prayer by night. So she's like, I believe it. So she's like, oh, so you believe it, but you still berated Daniel.
Right. Like,
Daniel is the biggest victim in this.
Do you really think you were going to be able to tame the beast? Because it sure as shit didn't seem like it how you died, lady.
Daniel is the biggest victim in this movie.
Oh, he was the pawn used from day one by Neiman to do all sorts of shit.
Okay. Now I want to...
Honestly, you know what? I was hoping he would live. I was honestly kind of hoping that poor guy would live. No, he still got killed.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll talk about that, but I want to go back to what I was saying about her having to kill Larry, because they say he has to be killed, must be killed by Silver, by the hand of someone who loves him. I'm like, when was that part added to the lore? Am I right?
Yeah, because that's not it at all.
Like, he just has to be killed by Silver bullet, silver knife, whatever. But no, it has to be by the hand of someone who loves him.
I guess.
I guess that's I mean, I kind of like it. It's kind of a cool, piece of lore to add, but it's not consistent.
Yeah, true. Because, I mean, imagine if they'd interwoven that into American Werewolf in London.
Oh, yeah. And then the girl would have to kill him?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Would have been cool. That's an awesome movie. That is
I love that movie.
Awesome film.
A friend of mine from work hates that movie. And he's a movie guy like us. He hates it. He gave it like 1 star.
Why?
He didn't like the characters. He hated the story. I don't understand it.
What? Wow. Okay, I can understand saying it's not that. I can understand someone going to the level of being like, it's just okay, but hating it? I didn't think that movie did anything offensive enough to like be hated, but okay.
Okay, An American Werewolf in London. Let's see.
Oh, you're reading his
Yeah, he gave it 1 star out of 5. He didn't write a review.
Oh, damn, I was hoping I would like some reasons now.
Right. What did I give that? I gave that 4 out of 5 stars. I love that movie.
That's what I'd give it easily. It was a blast.
Absolutely.
Amazing informations, great music.
Oh yeah, I love the music. I think a big problem he had was how quickly they like fell in love. But people have pointed out a big part of that is he's got these wolf pheromones that really attract the woman, you know?
And she was his nurse. She felt bad for him.
Yeah, exactly. So
wow. When you hit that point where they fall in love too fast, shit. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Right. Anyways, now I want to talk quickly about the main character, well, not even really the main character, but the title character, the House of Frankenstein. The monster's barely in this. He's unconscious for most of his screen time, and then
he doesn't even show up till the end, and all he does is kill Daniel and go into the swamp with Neiman.
Felt bad. It was sort of a heartbreaking scene when Daniel is like whipping the monster's like unconscious body out of anger. And and I gotta say, a cool shot is when the monster finally does awaken and Daniel is killing Neiman or attacking Neiman, and you just see the shadow like cast over the wall. Cool shot there.
Very. I do think so. It's like while we've been saying about Alanka, it's like, how'd you feel about her death? Think she deserved it?
I don't think she deserved it, but you kind of had it coming. You were kind of dumb.
Yeah, she was pretty stupid. I would give you that. She was actually pretty stupid. She was the blonde before the blonde trope.
Right, exactly.
But it's like, you know what? At least Larry finally died.
Well, until House of Dracula.
I haven't even watched that one yet.
Oh, well.
He was back in that one?
He comes back, and I don't think they really explain how he's alive.
Yeah. So Silver Chain getting drowned, nothing kills him.
Yeah.
Poor guy. All he wants to do is die, and he can't.
Right. Well,
you know, it's weird because it's like I don't really know what's left to say other than just picking out scenes. But it's like this movie just we point out some of the negatives, but overall it's like this is really one of my favorites. It's a blast from beginning to end.
It is, and also I mentioned earlier how much they fit into an hour and 10 minutes. I gotta say, I was watching this movie just last night, and watching it, and you see the creature like lift up Daniel and like throw him out the window to kill him. I like just checked the time, and there's like 3 minutes left to the movie, and I'm just like, let's wrap this puppy up. We gotta get to the finish line, because that's what so many of these movies did. They were just like, okay, we gotta wrap this up and be done.
You get an hour of talk. You get 55 minutes of talking. You get 3 minutes of action, and then the end.
Yeah. And I do enjoy the end, much like the Mummy's Ghost, the last one we reviewed. The monster carries another character into a swamp, and they both just fall into quicksand in this one. But it's crazy in this one. You see them sink underneath, and then just the end. Doesn't skip a beat. It's like, okay, we're done.
Everyone's dead. Movie over.
Yeah, a lot packed into this wild, crazy ride of a movie, and I don't regret a minute of it.
Nope, it's an absolute blast. It moves at a great pace, in my opinion. Where
Agreed.
That's another thing I will give this movie. I am never bored. Never.
Yep.
A single
Never.
second of this film bores me.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Does it have some silly things we can nitpick? Yes, but I'm willing to forgive it because it's so entertaining.
Exactly. It's like basically the opposite of the last one we talked about, The Mummy's Ghost, where it was like so many good ideas not talked about or not built upon, where it's like that's where it's like the nitpicking came out, because it's like, oh, you had good ideas, but you didn't do the right things. Whereas here, the only things I could say that I look at that and be like, oh, you could have done more was you could have made the movie longer and added more stuff with more characters. But
Yeah.
what we got, I don't have problems with it. I don't.
Yeah, exactly. It could have expanded on some ideas, yes, but they did enough with it that I'm not upset.
Exactly. There's nothing here where I look at it and go, like, you didn't do enough with it. I mean, maybe the Dracula stuff, it would have been nice to see maybe maybe they just did it with Dracula because they like put him in and then they're like, how is he going to fight the other characters? And they're just like,
Right.
Shit, we already advertised he's in it. Let's just not, or something. Because you think about it, in today's world, like you watch something like Van Helsing, that's where it would make sense, where like he became like the giant bat creature. They couldn't do that back then. And they weren't going to dangle a bat on a string around the Frankenstein monster and the Wolfman again.
And I did like the effects they did of him turning into the bat and turning back into the little animation effects they did for that.
I think one of my favorite scenes of that is in one of the Abbott and Costello ones where it's like he like does it and he like runs off screaming.
Yep. Definitely. But yeah, I love this one. It's a ton of fun and big thumbs up for me.
Absolutely. This is, like I said, one of my favorites of all of them. If we decide to rank them someday.
As much of a beast as that'll be.
Oof. That'll be interesting to go through. But all right, that wraps up today. So, Ken, thank you for joining me. Glad we got to go out on this episode on a very high note. I always like how we do these.
Absolutely.
So, all right, guys, that's it. We'll be back in 2 weeks with the next episode. We will see you then.
Take it easy, everyone.